Hi everyone, Petrik here. So for today's video, this is something that I usually make every year. This is about top 10 priority fantasy series that I want to start next year. But this time, I think I have to be realistic about my goals here. Usually when I make this video, I always say that these are the top 10 priority series that I want to start and finish. Yeah, that's impossible. It's impossible. Now, this year alone, I think I can barely make to 50 books count. The number of books I read can barely make to 50. And that's a far cry from, let's say, the year 2016 up to the year 2020, where I usually finish about 100 up to 120 books. But now I finish about 50 books a year. So now for this video, this annual video, this is about top 10 priority fantasy series that I want to start. That's it. If I can finish them, that's good. And then at the end of this video, I will talk about 3 series that are ongoing series and also non-fantasy series that I want to start as well. For the 10 fantasy series I'm going to mention first, they are completed series or they are about to be completed next year. So without further ado, let's begin. This is something that I'm always excited to make because this kind of gives me a goal for my reading goal next year. And I like having some reading goals. And this one, the first one, this is for The Art of Prophecy by Wesley Chu, or the War Art Saga. Wesley Chu has confirmed that this trilogy is coming to an end in 2025. And with that in mind, I have wanted to read this series for quite a while now. Ever since I found out about this book, ever since I found out about this trilogy, this Asian setting and wuxia-inspired fantasy series, I have wanted to read this series. And I have just been waiting for the trilogy to be completed. I know sometimes we should read a book, anything that we're interested as soon as possible. But in this case, I think because, well, my TBR pile is just uncountable now. So I might as well just wait for this one to be completed and binge read it in the year it's completed. And that's 2025. I heard nothing but great things, and everything I heard about this one, this book, and the sequel, The Art of Destiny, it sounds like it will be suitable to my reading taste. So that's the first fantasy series that I want to start in 2025. After that, I have this one. This is something a bit more popular, and this is for the Library Trilogy by Mark Lawrence, the book that wouldn't burn. And then the last book, the book that held her heart, I think. I think that's the title of the third book, but anyway, that book will be completed it will be published in 2025 as well. So I have read almost everything by Mark Lawrence. I think the only books I haven't read from him is the second and the third book in the Book of the Ice, and also the sci-fi trilogy, the Impossible Times trilogy. That's it. The rest, I have read everything by Mark Lawrence, and I have actually sampled the book that wouldn't burn, and I think I have a great feeling based on reading the first few chapters that I will really enjoy reading the book that wouldn't burn, and hopefully the sequels as well. And with the trilogy coming to an end next year as well, I want to read this one in 2025 and hopefully finish reading the trilogy as well. And moving on to the next one, here is another one that will be completed in the year 2025. And I'm talking about the Kithamar trilogy by Daniel Abraham. So I have read every fantasy book by Daniel Abraham, including the Expanse series that he wrote with Ty Frank as James S.A. Corey. And I think as far as his fantasy books goes, they are some of the most underrated and under the radar fantasy books out there, whether it's the Dagger and the Coin or the Long Price Quartet. They are both amazing series in my opinion, even though the first book can be a bit challenging and also testing to your patience. But after that, it's all smooth sailing for me. And I kind of expected the same will happen with me and the Kithamar trilogy with Age of Ash. And I already have the second book, The Blade of Dream, as well. I think the third book will be titled The Judge of Worlds. I think that's the title of the final book. And yeah, the Kithamar trilogy will be completed in the year 2025. And based on my experience with the Dagger and the Coin and also the Long Price Quartet, then this will for sure be another one of my favorite series, and most likely included in another one of my most underrated fantasy series, because I rarely hear people talk about the Kithamar trilogy, and I think that should be fixed. That or his other books. Really, they are really good. And then after that, moving on to the next one, this is for a series that has been completed for quite a while now, and this is for the Books of the Earthsea by Ursula Guin, and this one is illustrated by Charles Vess. This is an omnibus edition containing every book in the Earthsea series. And yeah, I know it sounds so crazy that I haven't read the books of the Earthsea yet. I think it's because of watching the anime movie, and it kind of put me off from trying the books because that movie, it wasn't good. Even though it is adapted by Studio Ghibli, it is not directed by Hayao Miyazaki, and it was not good in my opinion. That was the first time I felt bored watching a Studio Ghibli movies. But I think after hearing from so many people that they felt the same about it as I did, but they enjoyed the books, I think I should try reading the books of the Earthsea, and hopefully I will end up enjoying this as much as so many people did, because this is quite a seminal and influential series to so many fantasy readers. And then moving on to the next one, this is a bit of a tricky one, but I'm talking about the Fionavar Tapestry by Guy Gavriel K. So I think many of you know that I had very mixed experience when it comes to Guy Gavriel K's books, and I know that can be considered quite an unpopular opinion. So to refresh things, I love Tigana. I really love Tigana. I think that's one of the best standalone fantasy novel. But I have tried reading The Lions of Al-Rasan, and then The Sailing to Sarantium, and then there's another one that I tried as well. I forgot which one. It's probably Under Heaven maybe, but there's another one. I don't think it's Under Heaven, it's another one. But anyway, I have tried reading those, and yeah, I'm not a fan of any one of them. It could be because none of these series can be considered quite an epic fantasy series like Tigana. They are embedded in historical fiction or historical fantasy subgenre. Now, the Fionavar Tapestry, I believe, is a portal epic fantasy, and the Tigana is epic fantasy. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this is the Grim Oak Press edition, illustrated by Julian Delval. This one will be more suitable to my reading taste, but at the very least, I will try to read the first book, and then, I don't know, maybe I will get the second book, The Wandering Fire from Grim Oak Press as well, after that. But this cover art is done by Julian Delval, and Guy Gavriel K, even though I have issues with some of his books, I can say that his writing is as beautiful as this cover art. And yeah, I'm looking forward to read the Fionavar Tapestry trilogy. Moving on to the next priority series, this is another one that I want to try reading, and this is another classic. This is Guards by Terry Pratchett. I got this one from Book Outlet. This is illustrated by Paul Kidby, and yeah, well, many people told me that this is one of the best books by Terry Pratchett, and I haven't finished reading anything by Terry Pratchett yet. The only book that I tried for probably 40%, it was Mort by Terry Pratchett, and it did not really click with me. It's not like I find it bad per se, I just don't find myself completely invested and engaged with the narrative in Mort, and I'm hoping Guards will be a better reading experience. That's my hope anyway, and if yes, then maybe I can try reading through the books in the Night Watch sub-series, in the Discworld series, because the series is divided into multiple sub-series. And yeah, I heard nothing but amazing things most of the times about the Discworld. This is one of the most highly regarded series or worlds in the fantasy genre after all. And then moving on to the next one. This is for a series that I wanted to try reading this year, but I couldn't get around to it. But I did have the entire trilogy in my possession now. I'm talking about the Gael Song series by Shauna, Lawless, an Irish historical fantasy series, and supposedly it is a very engaging, character-driven fantasy series. And I hear so many praises about this Gael Song trilogy, and I look forward to reading this one within next year. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this series will have an extension though. So this one, the first 3 books, it will conclude the first trilogy in the era, I think, or in the world of this series. I don't know the name of the world of the series, but the world of the Gael Song, let's call it that. But the first trilogy is only the first part. There will be a second part, and I don't know, maybe a third part as well. And usually when that happens, there will be big time jumps and also different set of characters to follow. So yeah, looking forward to reading this one, the Gael Song trilogy. And then after that, I have actually talked about this series on my priority series, I think one of those years, I forgot which year, but I have mentioned it once. And this is for the Fatemarked series by David Estes. And yeah, I think some of you might know if you have been following my channel and SFF Spotlight, I have spotlighted the deluxe hardcover edition of the Fatemarked series by David Estes, and it looks amazing. The deluxe edition, the deluxe hardcover, it looks incredible. But even before the existence of this deluxe edition, I have wanted to read this series for quite a while now, because I do get some comments saying how much they love the Fatemarked and the Kingfall histories by David Estes. Some have even compared the Kingfall histories to the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. So that's super awesome to me, because, well, some of you know the Stormlight Archive is one of my top favorite fantasy series of all time. So I plan to at least start reading the Fatemarked series in the year 2025. And then after that, this is for the Grimmers of Grimdark fantasy series. And I can only apologize to many of you. I have mentioned this series plenty of times as priority series on my YouTube channel, and I can only repeat that again, unfortunately, this year. And yeah, I'm talking about the Prince of Nothing series, or the Prince of Nothing trilogy by Bakker. So this is the first trilogy in the second Apocalypse series. I really want to read this series. Seriously, you have no idea how much I look forward to reading the second Apocalypse series by Bakker. I've been itching to read, especially this year, for a epic grimdark fantasy series, and I feel like this one will get me what I wanted. But as you know, time and also my super hectic schedule this year is just unbeatable, and I couldn't fit the Prince of Nothing into my schedule. I haven't even done a reread of the Stormlight Archive because of how busy I am, and I don't know whether I will be jumping into the Wind and Truth immediately or not. But anyway, that's another topic. That's just to show just how busy I am this year and how crazy it has been this year. Mostly in a good way, but reading time definitely suffers. But yeah, back to my point. Hopefully, I can read the Prince of Nothing trilogy in the year 2025. I really want to. I want to find out why so many grimdark fans are so diehard about this trilogy and the entire second Apocalypse series. And speaking of grimdark, the last trilogy, the last priority trilogy, and this is part of a much, much bigger universe, of a much bigger world. And I'm talking about Warhammer. And I think I will start by reading either the Horus Heresy or the Eisenhorn trilogy by Dan Abnett. I'm still not sure which one I will start with, but this is my pick right now. Based on my research, I think it is only right to start from either the Horus Heresy or maybe from the Eisenhorn trilogy. But anyway, if you know more about the Warhammer series, let me know which one I should start with. It's whether it's Horus Heresy, the first 3 books, or maybe the Eisenhorn, the trilogy, the Eisenhorn trilogy. So that's the top 10 priority fantasy and also sci-fi series I want to start in 2025. I still have 3 series that I want to mention. They are historical fiction, ongoing series, and also a web novel. Let's start from historical fiction first. And this is for the Matthew Corbett series by Robert McCammon. And yeah, Boy's Life and also Swan Song are some of my top favorite novels of all time. They are some of my favorite standalone novels of all time. Boy's Life in particular is my top favorite non-SFF standalone novel. It is that good. I love Boy's Life very much, and Swan Song is my favorite horror novel of all time. So it's only right that I read the Matthew Corbett series, and I think the Matthew Corbett series is about to end in December, or in December next month, or in January 2025. So yeah, that's really soon. It's about time I start reading this series. I think the total is 9 books long. The final book is Leviathan, and the first book is Speaks the Nightbird. So I want to start the series. I don't know whether I can finish it, but I want to start it. And then another series that I want to start next year, and this one is part of an ongoing series, a super popular and highly acclaimed fantasy series, and I'm talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. Yeah, it's time. It is time for me to read this one. I did want to read this in 2024, but I was waiting for the hardcover edition of the Kickstarter edition that I pledged, and it still hasn't arrived. So hopefully it will arrive soon, and then I can start reading the series using that book. That's my hope anyway, but if not, I will just read from my ebooks. It's time anyway, and I want to find out why so many people are so diehard about this lit RPG series, which is quite rare to hear, especially among epic fantasy readers. And finally, the last series, or the last books, and that's for a web novel. I did have a goal of reading one web novel per year, and last year I managed to finish the web novel Mother of Learning by Domagoj Kurmach. And this year my plan was to read Worm by Wildbow, or The Lord of Mysteries, or The Lord of Mysteries by, the name is so long, Cuttlefish something. But anyway, these are still my picks for the year 2025. It's either Worm or The Lord of the Mysteries, especially with the anime adaptation coming for Lord of the Mysteries. Then I think there's a good chance this will be my pick for the web novel I read in 2025. And yeah, that's about it. That's the 13th series that I hope to start in the year 2025. But I will not promise that I will be able to finish them. It won't happen. It won't happen, okay? I have finally learned my lessons. Let's just say that. I look forward to starting these 13 series in the year 2025. But again, with the caveat that it all depends on my reading mood in 2025. But let me know what you think about my choices, and let me know which are some of your priority series that you want to start in the year 2025. Next week, I'll be posting my most anticipated book release of the year 2025, and I think 2025 is looking very promising for epic fantasy. It's looking quite promising. So yeah, I look forward to releasing that video. But until then, I just want to say, as always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. Bye bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.